Well, hello there, welcome back to my channel. It is of course Chelsea of She Designs Things, and in today's video we are going to be continuing on with our Google Sites series where we are designing a Google site together, or with me. So let's go ahead and just jump into the video. Alright, so let's just go ahead and recap what we have done so far. We have planned the pages, created themes, and built out page layouts for our travel brand and travel co. Now it's time that I show you, and this video is going to be quite long, hopefully not super long, but now it's time that we get into adding additional pages, sourcing images. I'll kind of explain lorem ipsum to you, which is the nonsense language. I will discuss mind mapping the user journeys, copywriting, and adding copy to the page. And then of course how your design changes or the layout will change based on the copy. We'll start to prep the footer and begin cleaning up the layout. So that is a lot that we have to cover. So let's just go ahead and I'll show you what I've done so far off camera. So off camera, I had a lot that I had to do for this site, and I wanted to make sure that I explained it beforehand so that everyone's like, you didn't show me. Yeah, I'm going to show you. So here I have added in placeholder images. No, I have not added them to every single page, but if you want a tutorial on how to create these little placeholder images, I'm more than happy to create a small video on how to do that. The whole reason I added them in is because I needed to get a feel for what style of images will be going on the site. So I like to create these little icon stylistic images for the design layout, and that pretty much will help me decide what will be going where. So, replace with a logo. That just gives me information that I know that this is going to be a logo image going there. This helps me stay focused and keep the design clean and prevent me from having to look all over the place to make changes. Now, that's just one of the things I did. I also added in lorem ipsum. The whole purpose of adding in lorem ipsum or filler text is so that you can see what the page will look like with text. For context, if you have a copywriter and you are providing them with information, they'll usually ask for the layout of the page. They want to know what the page is going to look like so that they can provide the best copy, aka the best words for your page. Website copywriting literally is just writing text for advertising. That's what copywriting is, writing text for advertisements or public materials, anything that you're going to sell something to somebody to, because that's the whole point. You're trying to sell something to somebody. So I will give an example of what style of copywriting or how to kind of write copywriting, but I'm not going to share with you how to write. If you can't write, hire someone to do it. There are entire people who are paid to do that part. Your web designer is not your copywriter. I'll say that again because a lot of people seem to think that they are. They're not. Sometimes they are. I know that I can write copy, but I prefer not to, which is why I sell templates. So moving on, I have gone ahead and added in the additional pages for the destinations. I've also added in destinations. The destinations, I decided to lay out the page by geographical continental locations. So you have Africa, the Arctic, Asia, Oceania, the Caribbean, so general large regions. And then within those general large regions, you have the actual continent, which contains the countries and regions. And so specifically, I did not put every last country on here. I would be typing all day. However, I wanted to make it as robust as possible so that you're able to see exactly what this page will look like. Now, instead of me making this complicated, what I did was create two types of pages, a countries and regions template. So you'll see Cambodia, an overview, the Google map, some text, experiences, again, what you'll experience, another, and I'll go into detail once I start filling in the information, why it's laid out this way. And then I also added an itineraries template page as well. So this allows me to not have to make a billion copies or try to figure out how I'm going to lay out each page. If you just make a copy of the page or create a template of the page, all you'll have to do is click the 3 dots and duplicate the page and then change the page name. So head on back to Africa. I'm going to show you what this looks like. I have not linked any of the pages just yet. I'll plan to do that once I get into copywriting, and I'll explain that more in depth. But say, for example, you want to go to Africa and you particularly want to go to Botswana. You would click on Africa and then you would go to Botswana. Once you're inside of Botswana, it is a country. Okay, it is a country. So within countries, we have what? Regions, states, whatever the case may be. So within this country of Botswana, we have 3 itinerary experiences that I have set up. I decided that I wanted to add these here, and then I'll kind of explain why we have the experiences page down here. But first, I wanted to just make sure we got this covered. Geographically, we want to make sure that we write our website the way people think and the way they work. So there are several types of people, and several different types of people from different regions will be visiting your website. So it's important, just put it that way, that you design your site for the demographic and people who are going to be visiting your website. To do this effectively, I like to mind map. So I'm going to show you my mind map. So here's the mind map that I use on Miro. Miro, just so you know, is free. It's not a promotion. I don't use it that often. I use various things. It just depends on my mood. But for this one, I decided to use Miro just to show you guys what I mean by this. So we have what happened before, like before someone visits your website. You have before and travel co, the visitors, and then the types of visitors, traffic sources, and then the goal of their visit. And then what's important to me, not just hitting the website portion, what occurs once they hit the website, and then obviously the end result. What do you want them to do? Your end results should always lead back to something. For mine, all end results need to lead to one place, and that is to book a vacation with a travel agent. So that's the sales department. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can just see. So for the end result, when we are designing our site, this is going to prepare you for copywriting. You want to make sure you have some kind of plan in place. A lot of times your websites are disconnected from each other because you don't have a plan. And it might seem like, man, I have to do all this work, but it's either you do the work first or you're going to be making changes all day, all the time to your website. So just make sure you go ahead and, do the thing. So moving on, now I'm going to discuss how I source my images. Typically, I like to source my images inside of one platform. So for me, that's going to be Canva. That's because Canva makes it easier for me to locate images. And not only to locate images, their licensing is pretty easy to understand. So here is their image licensing policy. So I'm going to just scroll down. As you can see here, there's an X for using content without, making an edit to it. However, there is kind of a clause to that. Standalone content, their meaning like photos used on its own without any design elements, has restrictions. For example, it can't be printed on products or merchandise for sale. And then when using pro content for certain online uses, such as websites and ebooks, please be aware that there is a pixel limit for unedited media in your design. A large photo being included on a website design, for example. So I don't ever export an image in its full resolution. You should not be either. So that's why they kind of set this limit on the size of the image. But going forth, I set 2 image sizes, one for landscape and one for like a square shape, depending on the style of image that I am creating. I like to make kind of a mood board, collect images that are from the same photographer, And then once I have the images from the same photographer, I try to tag the photographer so that I know that this is the person I want to give credit to in my privacy policy terms and conditions, or whatever the case may be. If I'm using multiple images, I always specify where I received the images from. So I don't like to mix images from Unsplash and from Canva. It's one or the other. So typically it will be from Canva. For my landscape images, I always set a size of 1200 by 800 pixels. That way, if I need to make it smaller, I will set it back to 600 by 400. This is a pro feature, so if you don't have pro, just set it to the one size. I do this because 600 by 400, if you add a 0 to each end, if you're using, say, for example, a Sony a7 III camera to take the image, the sensor or the resolution, the pixels per inch size, is 6,000 by 4,000. I know that because I actually own the camera. So for that reason, I know that to make it smaller, I need to just drop it to 600 by 400. Which is good for when you're using smaller images, but not for backgrounds. For backgrounds, keep it set to 12,000 by 800. When it's an image and nothing complex, it is not a design, you want to export as a JPEG. If you're exporting a design, you want to export it as a PNG. This also shows the information here. So best for complex images, illustrations, best for sharing. For your Google site, keep it at JPEG. All right, so I know it seems like I zoomed through that, but let's just go ahead and get back to the Google site. So again, we have Botswana, and now I'm going to show you the itinerary examples. So I did set, like I said, the itinerary template, and in that itinerary template, you're going to have maybe a map or something photographic of the culture or whatever you possibly could see there, an overview, some information about the place. So here is some information regarding this national park inside of Africa. And then I do also have highlights, like a highlight of the trip. And I'm also going to have the day-to-day in the trip. So I have all of them set to a specific number of days, but you can always duplicate it and add more days. This is literally just using the collapsible insert. So when you go over to collapsible group, you just add it and there you go. I'm going to delete that because I don't need the extra. This itinerary example here is using Google My Maps. It is something you can create itineraries with inside of Google. Right now it's not doing anything, but I will leave the link to getting this embed without the scroll bars on the side, and that will be left on my SIEARAproject.org website. So scrolling on down, we have important information, notes, services, before your experience, destination facts, similar experiences. And then obviously right under similar experiences, you want to have some form of call to action. So now that you know how the pages are laid out, it's time to get into the important part, which is copywriting. And this is going to be kind of long. All right, so before we can even start writing copy, you need to understand copywriting in the first place. We have some text that we have set inside of our Googles. What I did was create a document here, just like a Google Word document, just so you can see this. But whenever you're trying to figure out how to write your page copy for Google sites, you need to understand how the text is going to be read on your website. So we have an H1 header, which in Google is classified as the title, an H2 header, and then an H3 header. Google does not use H4, nor does it use H5 or H6. Some use H6. Then we have a body, which is normal text in Google Sites, caption, which is only available for images in Google Sites, and small print. Now that you know how that works, let's talk about this website copy, how it ties into your SEO, and how it's going to make your web design change. All right, so I want to take my time with this because it can be confusing to understand. So I want to make sure that I articulate it. Geez, I can't speak today. In a way that is easy to understand and follow. So right here, I have some words just so you can follow along. We have meta description, which equals search engines. And then let me enter here. And we have OG descriptions, which equals social platforms. Please, 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 please pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. No Google site has the first meta descriptions. Again, no Google sites have meta descriptions. They are all missing meta descriptions. However, all Google sites have OG descriptions. And again, all Google sites have OG descriptions. Now, let's discuss what those mean. So, on the actual side with the website, I have a title and then some body, and then I have this, button right here. When you're talking about, say, like your website copy, the information people will look at, or how they'll find your information, that's the information you're going to add into your head section. It's like the header, the thing that captures people. However, Google Sites does not use the head section. I know that sounds strange, but they do not pull information from this section. So you need to understand how they do, but I'll kind of explain how it's pulled. I'm going to give you an example of a non-Google site, and this is Neil Patel's site, and Neil Patel does, SEO. So of course his SEO is going to be pretty much perfect. So when we're looking at SEO on Google sites, we got to kind of think about how we're laying out our page. But first, let's look at something on his. On his actual website, we have, do you want more traffic? And then right underneath it, we have, hey, I'm Neil Patel, and then, whatever words. So when you're talking about meta description, the meta information, you're looking at it from this section here. The very first thing that websites, search engines, I should say, look at whenever they are pulling information from your site. So for Neil Patel, it's Neil Patel helping you succeed through online marketing. Did you see that on this page? No, you did not, because most website builders give you the option to be able to put in this information, put in your own metadata, but you don't have that option with a Google site. So how do we combat not having the option to have metadata? Well, you still have other aspects of your meta information. You just don't have the meta description. You have the title though. You just don't have the description. So I'm going to share with you how to not really write, but where to place the information on your Google site so that your title is read correctly. So here is my Google site. And I went on ahead and ran the information, and my title says web designer, and then I have the slash, and then what is that? I forget what the name is. And then she designs things. But the question is, how did I get this title? Where is this information being pulled from? And I'm just going to talk about the title part first. I don't want to confuse anyone, so I'm just going to speak about the title of the meta description. Here is my Google site. So I'm going to bring it over here so you can take a look. Here is what the page is called. What I discovered while putting my Google site together was that in order for me to get it to read the way that I wanted to, I had to first make sure I understood where information was being pulled from Google sites. So I have clients who also use Google Sites, and I will show you some of theirs. So here is Dr. Daniel. He is a licensed psychologist. Is he a psychologist? Oh my God, or a psychiatrist. I'm gonna go with psychologist in Tampa. And he uses a Google site. His homepage is called Sleep Therapy in Tampa. That is his homepage. So I'm going to actually take my information out and just place his regular website here. And I'm not going to put the information from the homepage in there. So now I'm just going to hit analyze and I'm going to wait for it to give me back some information. What it did was pull the information, and now I can see that his title is being read as Sleep Therapy in Tampa. And I thought to myself that that was quite peculiar, because when I look at his website, and let me just show you real quick. So looking at his site in Google Sites, he didn't call the file or the site name that information. He didn't. But I certainly did. But let me just get back to his real quick. So he took the page of his name, He took his homepage and he titled it Sleep Therapy in Tampa. And so now that's the hierarchy to which it is being read. It's going to read the page name in lieu of a site name. Isn't that interesting? Further solidifying this was using my own site as an example. I have my homepage set as welcome friend, but I went on ahead and just kind of added a page title or a website title. And so my website title is now web designer, and then she designs things. What this does is basically tell the title for your SEO, for your copy, for whatever you want to call it, for the search engines, what information they need to display towards the internet. But furthermore, it wasn't just pulling this information from here and just being done with it. So as far as your title goes for search engines, that's what it's going to pull from, the hierarchy. If you don't have a title for your site, it will pull the title for the page. And I even confirmed this even further with another client of mine who doesn't have a site title and instead uses the term just home. She just doesn't have a site title. So that's one thing. So here is another great example of a client of mine who used a template. She titled her page Brave Space Psychology. So in here, I'm going to make changes to it. I'm going to show you what happens if I were to take this from Brave Space Psychology and to say something else. So I will say, what do we want to title this for her SEO? Let's make it SEO friendly. So I'm going to remove this Brave Space, and I think I'm going to say that it is, we don't want too many words. This is kind of keyword stuffing. I'm going to remove the Brave Space Psychology part of it, and then I'm actually going to tag hers with a location first. And then I'm going to remove this here and then tag up. Let's do this. And the reason I'm doing it this way is just to show you what it looks like once you make these sorts of changes. So therapy, and then I don't like that. So therapy, coaching, we'll say it just will look better. I don't know I'm just playing around with what it's going to look like in order for me to show you. And maybe I should, and I can end it with Tampa, Florida, but I'm actually going to start it just so you can see. So once I hit publish, that's going to update the information. It might take a moment to show up, but I will show you here now. So let's just wait a few seconds. And Brave Space Psychology. If I can type. All right, so she comes up under her name now. So I'm going to just press copy, and now I'm going to head on back over here. I'm going to paste it there. I'm going to analyze her site once more just so we can get an idea, a feel for what we need to do. And as you can see, her title is now Tampa, Florida Therapy, Coaching, Diversity, LGBTQ plus Therapy. That is her title. And what's more important is, okay, what is this mean, Chelsea? How is this going to work on social media? What does it look like? So here, I'm going to just show you real quick. I'm gonna exit this. Let me just refresh real quick. So I'm going to use Facebook as an example, and I'll also use LinkedIn as an example. So I have her site here. So just paste, brave space. And it's going to pull the logo first. So her logo comes up first, and then it just has her site information. Notice it doesn't have any other additional information underneath. And then I'm going to show you just kind of what his looks like when I do the same thing on Facebook for social media. So paste. And so he has they both have their logos inside of their Google sites. If you do not use your logo inside of your Google site, it will not read the logo as the first image, because that's the first thing it's going to do. It will display whatever the first image you have. And a great example of that is actually this website. So this is The Naturalist, my Google site template. Where is it? Okay, cool. And just place that in there, remove this information. So you see it says home, because I did not title the page, and what we think we become. The reason it has the what we think we become is, if you pay attention, it's the very next section. Google won't read the text in this section, but it will like the OG will only read the image here and then the next section. So let's take a look. Here's another example. I'm going to paste this here now in LinkedIn. Discard, go inside, paste, and delete, just so you can see. So now in LinkedIn, sometimes it shows it, sometimes it doesn't, but it does show the first image. So keep that in mind whenever you are designing your site. And so just to recap and to show you another example, I am going to keep her title, this title information here, and then on the top I'm going to shorten this up so that it says Tampa, and then I'm going to delete this. What else? I'm going to say, I'm going to do Jewish, because we were talking about that she is Jewish. So what I'm going to do is just kind of target specific demographics in the title. So I am going to say Jewish LGBTQ plus in Tampa. And now I'm going to make that live. And now I'm just going to show you what it looks like once more. Once I go live and I save the information. Give me 1 second. It does take a moment for it to update, because we want to see it update here, and it has. So now it says Tampa, Florida, Jewish LGBTQ plus therapy, and that's the information we want there. Now, if we scroll on down, you can see that the H1 is therapy, coaching, and consultation services. And now that I have shortened the information, it shows up exactly as I would want it to: Tampa, Florida, Jewish LGBTQ plus therapy, and then therapy, coaching, and consultation services. So that is just a quick fix if you're having issues with the way it's showing up on your OG descriptions, aka your social media platforms. Now, if you don't want the logo to show up in the background, again, you're going to have to edit the logo by deleting the logo. So now that we have an understanding of the intricacies of your Google site and how they read their SEO, how to lay it out for them, let's go ahead and talk about this Google site. What do we need to do to make sure that it's being read correctly? What keywords are we targeting? How do we even find keywords to target? I mean, there's so much I could talk about, but I'm just going to give you the short and the skinny. We already know that we need to put in a site name here, and the site name is going to be read first as the title. So I'm going to say that the site name we're going to have is Travel the World While Benefiting the Planet. Actually, no, I'm going to use that as a tagline under here. So what I'm going to do is this benefits and objections section, I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to move it up towards the top, highlight this, paste this information in here. So it says travel the world while benefiting the planet. And then I'm going to remove this title and actually put the ampersand and travel, if I can spell, co. And then there we go. And then right now I'm trying to decide how I want it to show up for social media. So the, again, the OG description. So for me, what I'm going to do is look at some of the competitors and see what they're using. Side note, you can also see this information at the very top of the browser. It is that little tab. That's how you'll be able to know how the social media information is going to show up. So we're going to look at Black Tomato. They are one of our competitors. Black Tomato says luxury travel and exclusive holidays, and then it says Black Tomato. Let's go look at one of our other competitors as well. So here is our other competitor, XO Travel, and theirs just says adventure. And then let's take a look at Abercrombie and Kent. So let me just copy theirs, copy. And there says pioneers of luxury travel. And then they're award-winning, blah, 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 something self-serving. So for me, I've already made a kind of a list of information to kind of help me stay focused on what I want to convey. And in order to do this for a Google site, I had to make sure that I was writing everything out. So I am going to say sustainable travel. Let's see here. Sustainable travel experience, and I'm gonna do like that. So that's how I want this to show up. So I'm just going to copy it, go right where I have the and travel co, and I'm actually going to put this first because this is the information I want to be read first, then space, and then let me go back towards the end to remove that one at the bottom in the back. Okay, so now that is going to be the name, and the what you can do if you're not sure about something is always test it. There is not really a test mode per se, but you could always go live. It'll show you the same information. So for me, I'm just going to hit publish. I know I haven't typed anything in here. I'm just literally going to just leave it just like that. So this is going to say and travel co, publish. I just kept it short. All right, and now I'm going to hit the plus sign because right now nobody can view it but me. So I'm going to change this publish site to public, and that just allows me to get more information. So I'm going to just copy this, and then I'm going to just go back over here. Now it might not show up because I literally just went live, but let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, I lied. It came up pretty quick. So this, of course, meta description is missing, but title is there, sustainable travel experience. Now it does have the copy of the home there. And if you want to fix the copy of the home, you want to make sure each page is written correctly. This is where I was saying that the page titles will also show up in the title. So scroll on down. What do we have? All right, so once again, let's see, social media, Facebook, sustainable travel experience, and travel co, travel the world while benefiting the planet. Super important. I have keywords already tagged in here. What type of business are we running? Remember, we are a sustainable travel company. We got a luxury look, but let's be honest, we're all about helping out the planet. So this is what the social media portion of it will look like. Now let's go back and start really building out these pages, because this should now make sense to you. And if it doesn't, rewatch this as many times as it takes. Okay, so now that we have pretty much discussed all this information and layout, let's talk about still making sure that you are doing what you need to for future, which is the H1 tags and what a typical website copy will look like, not what Google's going to read it as and what it's showing up as, but for the future, you still need to have only one H1 tag. Originally, when we brought this in, instead of this section, it was an H1 tag. I have gone ahead and removed it and made it a header. So now again, going back to this home section, if you have an image on the home section, it's going to read that image. So I have this image here. So this is what's showing up and why you see it on the social page right here. I don't know how long that's going to last because I do have the logo right in here, but maybe because I don't have it somewhere else, but that's okay. So now we also have this title text, which says travel lightly, but we're going to change that because again, we want this to be well written for us. So I already have some text that I want to put in place. So a way to see the world without leaving a trace. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to paste it here. And then this body text in here is the sub information that I have thought about and decided that this is what I wanted to have. We provide sustainable travel accommodations and tours for those who want to travel the world and leave a smaller carbon footprint. Our services are designed to help you offset your carbon emissions and enjoy your trip without damaging the environment. Yeah, that was perfect. So let me just copy this because that sounds really good. I know, I'm a really good copywriter. I just take forever to get to the point on it. But anywho, so now we have kind of what this website is supposed to be looking like. And I'll show you the homepage, the copy of the homepage again. A way to see the world without leaving a trace. Now all of these letters are bold. So what I'm going to do is make them, all of these anyway, not bold. And I'm only going to bold the trace. This is going to count for, there's a number of words you want to draw attention to. So I'm going to draw attention to specific words here, like the word world and trace. And then also here, the word sustainable travel accommodations. I'm going to highlight, bold, and make italic. Again, we are selecting words, no more than 10 on a page that we want to really highlight and draw attention to. And this is going to help our SEO as well. What this is looking like, it actually looks really good for just kind of a copy. Now, not all copywriters are going to bold or identify information. Some don't. Some just literally write the stuff and you figure it out. But I'm just doing this so that you can see when you're writing it yourself what it'll look like. So a way to see the world without leaving a trace. We provide sustainable, lean into the side, sustainable, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You guys kind of get the point. So moving on down, we have our quote here, which I'm going to highlight again. I don't want it to be bold. I'm going to kind of lessen the boldness on here. And I am going to hover over the word travel and slant it to the side. Kind of identify, so that'll work with the design. Let me just take this and make this the same height as the others. No, you need to go back to where you were. And that also helps. So I'm going to publish this just so you guys can see what I'm doing and where it takes an effect to. So just this will be the end of this, because I've already discussed sourcing images and making sure you're sticking to the same kind of the same photographer, the same color palette whenever you're sourcing your image. But now, more specifically, I want you guys to pay attention to the copy. So going back to the header, I've already explained how the header section will work. You need to have a call to action. Let me show you what a full page copy for the home page will look like. This whole section up to here is your header section. Moving on, we're not going to use a quote because we know that we're using a Google site. So we need to have in this section right underneath what's going to be read for our OG description. So travel the world while benefiting the planet. That is being read as our description for our site, our social media one anyway. Going on down, we want to show something that's going to show like FOMO, some sort of fear of missing out. We want to sell something. We want people to do something in this section. Remember, it is a travel site, so it is not designed nor created the same way as a standard like sell you something site, but you want to sell something. So you are selling a service, are you not? You're selling an experience. So we are going to have what the featured experience is. So this is again what you're selling or providing, some context, blah, blah, blah. And then if you have another one, context, blah, blah, blah. And then for here, we need a button. So this will link to the specific travel experience that I'm referencing in here. Now we want to talk about additional benefits. This portion is a call out. So this is my call out section for this site. And you can see the call out section right here. This talks about the benefits and features. So why would you want to use And Travel Co? We provide ecological lodging, sustainable experiences, and inclusive travel. And then I selected images that depict what I'm referencing to. We have in here, I wrote the copy already. So we work with thousands of local businesses in your trip destination area to find, to find you, sorry, you step away. That's why you step away. To find you eco-friendly and sustainable accommodations. Ecological lodging options are becoming more popular as they offer travelers a way to minimize their impact on the environment. So we want to make sure that we're hitting those SEO words that we're going for, even on this Google site. So what do we offer? Ecological lodging, sustainable accommodations, destination, so these are the words that we want to use to target and to trigger. So the same goes for this middle section in here, sustainable experiences, inclusive travel. And I, again, talk about accessibility, accommodations, and then any special programs that I might want to mention. I've already gone ahead and added in some partners, as you can see. So these are the partners that I'm using for my site. But you'll have different partners. It's whatever. I just found whatever was the most popular on travel sites, on travel sites, if I'm honest. So these are just regular PNG images. And scrolling on down. So this would be my social proof. Social proof. I'm using their authority to provide proof. Like, listen, we're partnered up with these folk. And I'm going to change the color of this to that tan color because it just looks nice. So we're partnered up with these people, and these people have more authority than we do. So because they have more authority than we do, you should listen to them and travel with us. Again, I don't have an About Us section on here per se, but that is actually a part of this section a little bit. So what you'll end up doing is you can trigger back the About Us section. So these will end up having a learn more and go on over to our About Us page. And that will talk about our sustainable travel options, how we got started, who we are, what's important to us, why we're doing this, all of that. Then you want to have some more FOMO. Ayo, these are all the wonderful places you're missing out on. So another start, like something for them to consider a destination, something you want to sell them to, have something to sell. And then, of course, another call to action. What do you ultimately want people to do? So this is where that mind map comes in handy when it talks about the end results. When someone views an itinerary, what do they do after they view the itinerary? They're either going to, book this trip, which is a button I've considered adding, or start planning, request a page quote. So that will send them directly to one page in particular, which is going to be for them to request a quote. Going on back, we also have, now we can add an FAQ section here if we want to. It is not always necessary to include a FAQ section on your homepage. Some people do, some people don't. I'm a travel site. I assume that people are going to have questions about the individual locations that they will be traveling to. They might have more little questions here and there, but I'm going to try to hit them with imagery. I am not going to try and give them all the details in an FAQ. But I will have a call to action, like, book this trip today, or whatever the case may be. We'll figure it out. So that is pretty much, I know, very, very long, but pretty much how website copies work. If you would like this form, something so that you're able to, get started on your website copy, let me know and I'll just add it to my website and you can just download it from my website directly. It'll be free. It's literally just, to help guide you in writing your website copy. All right, so I know this video was long and detailed, but I wanted to make sure that I got you all the information you needed for your website. So thanks again so much for watching. And in our next video, we will finally start putting things together. Now that I have explained the copywriting, the words, how to source images, now we can actually start taking all that information that we have gathered, and you'll create a document just like this. So that's why I'm probably just going to leave it, and you'll find it in the description below. And so if you're making a travel site along with me, you'll be able to do the same thing. And I'll also leave I don't know if I left this information. I'll start a copy for the homepage and help you guys out. I'll be nice. All right, again, thanks so much for watching, and of course, laters.